Hello everyone and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name's Michael and I'm bitten by a radioactive bug. As we haven't seen each other in a while, I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to bring you a video at the end of the year. And what better subject would there be as to present you my top 10 books of 2017. So without further ado, let's get started. On number 10 we have Marotta by Ella McNeil. This is a debut and I was very impressed by it. It's a self-published book. It has a lot of potential to grow into a great series. There's so many unique ideas about unique races, about unique countries. It has a plethora of interesting characters and I can't wait to see where the author takes them from where we leave them in Marotta. The second book, Palom, is on its way in 2018. On number 9 we have With Blood Upon the Sand by Bradley P. Beaulieu. The first book in the series, The 12 Kings of Sharakai, was one of my favorite books in, I think, 2015 already. Was it? Yeah, 2015. And this book, I read it at the beginning of the year, was a very, very good step forward from that. We're seeing the characters that we know and love from the first book growing more and more into the roles of the people that they will become in the end. And we're introduced to some new characters. There's a very interesting desert setting for the whole book, and the atmosphere is really, really good. And so I can't wait for the release of the third book in the series, which will be also in 2018. On number 8 we have Horus Rising by Dan Abnett. So that comes as a little surprise. So I'm digging a little bit into the whole Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 kind of books, and most of the books are very action-packed, 3-star-ish reads for me. But this one stood out a little bit. It's the first book in a very long series made by various authors, and it is it tells the story of a very historic event, the Horus Heresy within the Warhammer universe, and I really loved how the author showed us the events, the characters, the main players there, and I have high hopes that this series is quite good in quality. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised by that, but this book made my top 10 books of the year list. On number 7 we have another debut novel. It's Blackwing by Ag MacDonald, and this book drew me in with its imaginative setting and the interesting characters. The setting is a little bit more of a steampunkish Wild West setting, almost a Weird West setting, because the monsters and antagonists are highly imaginative, maybe even out of horror, and there's a good dark fantasy, grim darkish grip to the book, and I can't wait for the sequel. On number 6 we have Son of the Morning by Mark Alder. This is a very interesting take on alternate history. It is medieval Europe, but with angels, demons and devils being real. And the European powers are striving for the blessing of the angels. When they don't get it, they try to contract with demons and devils. It's very, very medieval. You can feel that there's very much detail in this book, and that the author knows what the people believed to be real in medieval times and made it happen. And that's a huge effort, and I can't wait to dive into the second book, Son of Night, which is already out. On number 5 we have Fall of Dragons by Miles Cameron. This is the concluding volume in his Traitor Son cycle. It's a 5-book series, and I read the 4th book at the beginning of the year and this 5th installment when it came out in October. And it's a glorious series. It's also very medieval, but with a lot of interesting fantasy twists. So the author does this great job on making a very believable medieval world, but filling it also with very unique, fantastic ideas. There's a plethora of characters, so it's a complex series, as you know I like and love. And this conclusion of the series was very much not what I expected it to be, but also like very interesting. And I have a little bit of hope that the ending and the epilogue of the book suggest that there's more to come in this great, great world that I came to love. Next up, we have The Steel Remains by Richard K. Morgan. Richard K. Morgan is a name, if you not already know him, that you will come to know pretty soon, because Netflix is doing a TV show of his cyberpunk series, the Takeshi Kovacs series, and I think it's called Altered Carbon, like the first book in this series. But Richard K. Morgan also writes fantasy, and The Steel Remains is the first installment in his Land for Heroes series. I'm making this up, maybe, but yeah, I think it's called that. Or Land Fit for Heroes, something. You see, as always, I'm well prepared doing these videos. Michael, you should do better. You should be better prepared. Alright, so this is a series where we have like 3 point of view characters. One of them is a gay character, so if you're looking for representation, there's like a pretty prominent one. And it's very grimdark. It has a very primal feel to it, ritualistic magic, very rough, and a lot of very fun banter between the characters, especially like the main character. So yeah, this was something that took me a little bit yeah, as a surprise book, because I thought it would be like a solid grimdark like 3 stars novel, but it actually almost made the 5 stars and almost made the top 3. Speaking of the top 3, on number 3 we have Saint's Blood by Sebastian de Castell. It's the 3rd installment in his Great Code series. Now, you already know from many other booktubers that most of us love the Great Code series, and that it is a series basically fantasy musketeers with a lot of banter between the characters, fun sword fights, political intrigue. So what made this book stand out for me was actually that there is a very interesting, subtle undertone about religion in this book. There is a subtle undertone about like politics and society in the 4th book, The Tyrant's Throne, which I also read this year. But I liked how the book deals with belief, with religion, and what it can do to people, what good it can do, what bad it can do. And that was something that really, yeah, made the book stand out for me, and thus it made my top 3. On number 2, I've just finished Dead House Landing by Ian C. Asselmont. And of course, it's a Malazan book. So this series, it's the 2nd installment in his Paths of Ascendancy series, shows us the way of the Emperor Calenvad and his companion Dancer to like supremacy. So we're seeing characters that we know from Stephen Erickson's books and Ian Asselmont's books, but we see actually them as their younger selves when they were still like on the way to become those great characters that we knew. And so for a Malazan aficionado as I am, this book was a treat. There's a lot of interesting characters. There's not only those two. We see something of Dasam Altor, the mortal sword of Hood. We see something of Tashran, the soon-to-be High Mage of the Malazan Empire, when he's still a priest of Darak, the Worm of Autumn. We see Tatassail, who makes an appearance in Gardens of the Moon, of course, the first book of Stephen Erickson's series, and we see her when she is actually like in a relationship with Mock, the one that Mock's hold on Malice Island is actually named off, so we get a glimpse on him that we never did before. And there's many, many more characters. There's a lot of name dropping, a lot of foreshadowing. So if you're a Malazan fan, this is a must read. It's fun. It's more straightforward actually than the other two series, because Ericsson's series and Asamon's first series are often like large tomes, but these Path to Ascendancy books are more like on the 350 to 450 page side, and they're very straightforward, fun reads, a lot of action, a lot of banter, easier reads than the other series. That makes them not better, not worse, but also 5 stars, and it takes my number 2 spot. So now we're down to the number 1. If you're following my Twitter, you will know that because I praised this book for almost the whole year. It was one of the first books I've read, and it's Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is the rock and roll band love story for old fart fantasy readers like me. So the gist is you have a band of like former heroes, a mercenary group called Saga, and they are retired. And now one of the daughters, or the daughter of the leader, has gone missing, and the leader is trying to put the band back together. And this is a lot of fun. This has a lot of like Ocean's 11 feel to it. There's a lot of musical references if you know where to look for from the rock and roll kind of genre. And it's just a lot of fun seeing these characters come to life. Seeing these people banter with each other is a lot of fun. They're going on a quest. They're a little bit elderly, so that's fun. But also, Nicholas Eames finds a very, very good and subtle line of giving you a fun and banter book, but also something to really emotionally connect to. And that was something that going into the book I didn't expect, but there is like a storyline of a two-headed giant that will break your heart if you're not like, I don't know, immune to emotion, Mr. Data. Even you are going to cry a little bit, I think. Yeah, so what can I say? This book was awesome, and the next installment, Bloody Rose, is coming our way in 2018, and I can't wait for it. So, these were my top 10 books of 2017. So please feel free to comment what were your favorite reads in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. There will be videos in 2018. I'm pretty sure about that. And as always, I hope that you get bitten by a really good book too. Bye.